Intimidated by me at all.
Sometimes the most terrifying moments happen when no one expects them. In this video, a surfer is violently thrown inside one of the biggest waves on Earth. A climber suddenly loses control and begins sliding down a glacier on Mount Everest. And deep in the forest, a massive bear appears without warning. When danger strikes this fast, would you stay calm or panic? In January 2025, a solo backpacker from the YouTube channel Nomad Unknown began her first journey of the year. She headed out alone into one of the most notorious stretches of wilderness in Arizona. Her channel had always featured peaceful trail footage and calm, informative narration. It had never captured anything like this before. What started as a quiet, carefully planned hike through sunburned canyons and dry riverbeds slowly turned into something far more unsettling.
Water rolling down my face. It's not tears, it's sweat. I'm trying to wear like sun shirts and things like that to protect my skin, but it's just too hot for that. And I'm gonna get a heat-related illness. There's the parking lot down there, and looks like I've crested this ridge. Unfortunately, the map I have is not in tremendous detail. It was the smallest scale map I could find. I had to search pretty hard for that one, and this route that I'm doing also does not exist as a ready-made route, so I am just following my mapped route.
The desert felt silent, not peaceful, but silent in a way that seemed unnatural. The only sounds were the crunch of her boots on loose gravel and the faint wind moving through brittle plants. As she continued deeper into the canyon, something caught her attention.
What is this? Like bloody tracks of some sort. All the way. Well, we should definitely follow them. Of course, they're leading in the other direction. Is there a crime scene up here? Weird. I don't see an origin. Oh, here's more. Through here. Let's see. Here they continue. Let's follow. That's a long way. Okay. It's up there. Actually, there are still some faint signs of blood along the trail here. Nothing here. Oh, there's some on a rock right there where my head shadow is. There we go.
A dark smear stained a rock. Nearby, faint paw prints crossed the trail and vanished into the brush. She crouched to examine them. Her voice stayed steady and analytical. She believed it was probably a predator, perhaps a mountain lion or a coyote dragging prey. Still, the scene stayed on her mind. Later that afternoon, she set up her tent beside a spring, a rare water source in the dry terrain. As the sun dropped behind the canyon walls, the atmosphere changed.
Not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little nervous about this camp. Maybe it's just been such a long time since I've camped out in a tent in a place that I'm not familiar with. But also part of my logical mind, I'm here because of the proximity to water, and the wild animals that live in this area have the same interest. And when I first got here, I heard some rustling of what I'll say is a mammal up the hill just away. Also, just in the tree right above my tent is bird feathers, and looks like something happened to the bird. And there's also an odor. I don't know if somebody just didn't handle their business properly and did it too close to camp. I don't know if I'm smelling an animal or something, but I'm a little bit disturbed, but get out of here. Okay, whatever that is, it is not intimidated by me, and I can't see anything, but I can hear it. I got 1 liter of water. I'm getting out of here. I'm not staying here tonight. Are you freaking kidding me? It's not even dark yet. Yeah. I heard some stuff when I first got there, and I figured I had scared it away. And even though it smelled weird and I was feeling nervous, I was like, mind over matter. Whatever that animal was making that much noise. It was not a bird. It was not birds. And it was not intimidated by me at all.
The air felt heavier, almost charged. A metallic scent lingered near the ground. When she looked up, she noticed scattered feathers caught in the branches above her campsite. Then she heard it. At first it was faint, a steady movement in the brush. It didn't fade or move away. It seemed to circle. Instinct took over logic. She didn't wait for nightfall. Quietly, she packed her gear, took down her camp, lifted her pack, and left. Some viewers believe she unknowingly camped near a fresh kill, and that the mountain lion responsible had returned. Many still wonder what might have happened if she had stayed one more hour. If you felt that presence circling your tent, would you trust logic or follow your instinct and leave? On November 29th, 2012, Paula and her 44-year-old boyfriend, Roderick Clifton, were staying at his mother's house in Citrus Heights, California. That day, Paula's mother had invited them for dinner, so they packed their things and began the long drive more than 100 miles to Gardnerville, Nevada. They traveled through the mountains, stopping a few times to enjoy the views. Even with those pauses, they were still on track to arrive well before dinner. Rod decided to take a short detour to Burnside Lake, and that was when everything began to fall apart. The road was blocked by a gate, and thick ice clearly closed for the season. But Rod, familiar with the area from previous summer visits and eager to test his Jeep in the snow, drove around the barrier, a choice that would soon lead to serious consequences. At first, nothing seemed wrong, and they reached the lake around 7 p.m. However, the snow was much deeper and softer than they expected. When they tried to turn the Jeep around, the front left tire became stuck. Hours of effort to free it accomplished nothing. As the temperature dropped quickly from the 60-degree weather they had left behind, they realized they were unprepared to spend the night. Wearing only fall clothing, low on food, and without cell service, they stayed inside the Jeep while a powerful snowstorm moved in. The next day, November 30th, Rod decided to search for help. He left on foot through waist-deep snow for what would have been nearly a 6-mile trip, assuring Paula he would return within a few hours. He never returned. Paula was left to survive alone. She rationed a few green tomatoes she had brought used snow for water and wrapped herself in every blanket and piece of clothing she could find. The freezing temperatures, the storm, and the isolation slowly drained her hope. By December 1st, she used the last battery in her camera to record a message for her family, unsure if anyone would ever find her.
I'm on my voice. It is now Sunday morning, and the snow has not let up. It's about 6.5 feet deep, I think. I'm eating a green tomato a day. I'm eating as much snow as I can remember to, and trying to stay warm. I just want to come home. Rod left Friday morning. Today's Sunday. Rod left Friday morning to go get help and didn't come back. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he got hypothermia and frostbite or if some critter got him. But I can't walk out in this because I don't have the clothing. I mean, I feel fine. I'm not delirious, and I just have a hard time keeping my feet warm because I don't have any socks. I have them taped up with toilet paper underneath them. I just want to see my babies and my mom. I'm so sorry that this happened.
On the morning of December 2nd, the storm finally weakened, giving her a small sense of hope and the determination to attempt escape. She packed a small bag with whatever essentials she could gather, including scissors and a flashlight, and even created makeshift gloves and socks using masking tape and tissue. As she stepped into the snow, the weight of days alone and the brutal cold pressed down on her, yet she refused to remain trapped. The journey proved far more exhausting than she had imagined. Each step sank deep into the snow, sometimes forcing her to crawl and lean on her backpack for balance. Her body, weakened from days without proper nourishment and exposed to freezing temperatures, struggled to keep moving. Hours passed as the cold took its toll. Her hands and feet went numb. She coughed blood, and her awareness began to fade under the strain. Just as her strength seemed almost gone, the snowstorm returned with force, forcing her to take shelter inside a hollow tree filled with spiders, where she stayed for 2 nights, barely regaining enough energy to continue. By then, her only food source, the green tomatoes, had run out, and survival felt nearly impossible. On December 5th, 6 days after becoming stranded in the unforgiving wilderness, Paula pushed herself forward one last time, driven by the smallest trace of hope. That was when she discovered Rod's snow-covered body. He had likely died from hypothermia only hours after leaving to search for help. The sight was devastating, but it strengthened her resolve. She understood she could not stop. Search efforts had been underway since the night they disappeared, but no one knew about their detour to Burnside Lake, and severe weather had prevented aerial searches. Fortunately, Paula's brother Gary, aware of their previous summer visits to the lake, went to check the area on December 5th and found her crawling along the road dangerously close to death. Rain had begun to fall, and even a short delay might have cost her life. He rushed her to a nearby hospital where she was treated for first-degree frostbite. After nearly a week of unimaginable hardship, Paula survived. She has since fully recovered and now lives safely with her family and children. Sometimes a single decision can change everything, especially in remote places where help is far away. If you were facing that blocked road in the mountains, would you turn back or take the risk and hope it would work out? Tasha, a woman who occasionally shares short clips from her everyday life, captured a troubling encounter while spending time near a river with her dog. What started as a peaceful and quiet moment quickly changed when she noticed a man walking through the water toward her.
What are you doing? You can't get out here, sir. No! Don't! Don't come! Don't come! What are you doing?
Her dog reacted right away, sensing the tension and prompting Tasha to begin recording the situation. Later, she discovered that the man approaching her had a long criminal history, including drug offenses, sexual assault, and weapons-related charges.
You're not taking my tube, boy. I'm recording. It is. I seen all of you. I got all of you on camera.
I'm with them, right?
Then go get with them.
Learning about his background made the encounter even more unsettling. Fortunately, her dog kept the man from getting too close, and once he noticed that he was being filmed, he turned and walked away. The moment serves as a clear reminder of how quickly a normal outdoor activity can become dangerous. Tasha's awareness combined with her dog's protective reaction likely prevented the situation from escalating into something far worse. According to reports, the man eventually returned to jail for violating parole, showing how quickly reckless actions can lead to consequences. If you were alone by the river and saw someone approaching in that way, would you stay calm and record or leave before the situation escalated? Tahupo is a world-famous surf break in Tahiti, French Polynesia. Known for its thick, heavy barrels and extremely shallow reef, it has earned a reputation for producing some of the most powerful waves on the planet. On May 29, 2022, the ocean shows exactly why the location demands so much respect. A taxi boat normally used to carry surfers and their crews is suddenly slammed by a massive wave, briefly throwing the situation into chaos. Despite the force of the impact, no one on board suffers serious injuries. Those knocked into the water are quickly brought back to safety. Even so, the moment shows just how unpredictable and unforgiving Teahupo'o can be. If you had been on that boat, would you have stayed calm or panicked when the wave struck? On November 9th, 2020, Kai Lenny experienced what he later described as the most terrifying moment of his life at Nazare. From the perspective of someone caught inside the wave, everything happened almost instantly, far too quickly for the body to react. He attempted to dive as his flotation vest automatically inflated, but a powerful hit to his shoulder threw him completely off balance. For several intense seconds, time seemed to slow as he struggled against the force of the wave. At Nazare, survival becomes the ultimate test. When waves reach that size, even the most experienced surfers can be pushed to their limits. If you had been in that situation, would you have trusted your training, or would fear have taken over? This video, released by The Independent on October 20th, 2022, shows a sudden bear encounter in a forest setting. There's no warning. The animal appears, and the sense of distance and safety vanishes almost immediately. It's a brief but tense moment that demonstrates how quickly situations can change in the wilderness. What would you do if a bear suddenly appeared that close to you? On July 8th, 2011, a group of friends were on the 5th day of their climb up Mount Everest. They were moving along the southeast glacier, and the conditions looked almost perfect. However, in high mountain environments, stability can vanish in seconds, and that is exactly what happened.
Arrest! Arrest! Arrest!
Good job, good job. Get your toes in there.
You're good. Just get your wits about you and you're going to walk out the low side. You're not walking back up the hill.
Right there?
Yes. Concentrate on what you're doing here, Chief.
Oh yeah. The order of business is get my wits. Alright, that's good. Well, you only threw about.
Nice.
Without any warning, one of the climbers suddenly loses his footing and begins sliding down the glacier. The others immediately react, urging him to perform a self-arrest, a critical technique every mountaineer knows. It requires forcing an ice axe and boots into the snow to stop a fall before it becomes deadly. For several tense moments, it seems like he cannot slow his descent. After sliding roughly 20 feet, he finally manages to dig his axe into the snow and stop. In places like this, even ideal conditions can hide sudden danger, and small mistakes can escalate quickly. If you had been there, would you have reacted in time, or hesitated for just a moment too long? Alexander runs the YouTube channel Smotri Siuda, known for documenting solo trips and exploration in remote forest regions. But on the night of July 29th, 2021, he was alone beside his tent eating fish when strange noises began drifting through the darkness.
What the hell is this? What the is this? What the is this? The is about to start. Oh.
High piercing cries echoed between the trees. The sounds felt unsettling, and something about them seemed unusual. The last light of evening still faintly illuminated the area, yet he could not see what was moving or what might have made those noises. He stayed alert, quietly talking to himself while trying to remain calm. When morning finally arrived, the tension slowly faded. In isolated forest, many sounds can be normal, but feel unfamiliar in the dark. Sometimes it's not the event itself, but the possibility behind it that stays with you. If you had been alone in that forest, would you have stayed calm or packed up before sunrise? English Woodsman is a YouTube channel where Daniel the creator documents his trips exploring small woodland patches and urban forests. On June 15th, 2025, he returned to a compact urban woodland he had visited before. It was the type of location most people would ignore, yet it had always given him a quiet sense of unease. He moved through the area without realizing that his camera was quietly recording something unsettling behind him.
So there is signs of probably kids or someone camping around here.
At first, Daniel paid little attention to the faint sounds and dismissed them. He unpacked his equipment, set up his tent, lit a small fire, and cooked pork chops. As darkness settled over the woods, the silence seemed heavier. There was almost no wind, yet branches shifted and twigs snapped in ways that felt unusual. Strange noises outside the tent interrupted the quiet.
Just feels so uneasy, so unsettled. Wow. I'm going to play that back and see if I've got that. I'm not too sure with, obviously seen it through the GoPro, but that sounded a very weird noise. Like a weird animal noise what I hadn't heard before. So I'm in my tent, my small Owie dropping a hint at me. That's my stove, that. Hello? That was my stove being moved.
He tried to convince himself it might be a fox or a badger, but the pattern of the movement combined with what earlier appeared on camera created uncertainty. The sounds continued, even though no one could be seen. Nothing looked disturbed, except for the slight repositioning of his stove. He remained quiet and still watching the edge of the firelight. When morning arrived, it brought light, but not answers. The stove had moved again overnight, yet there were no signs of recent human activity nearby. In places like this, sometimes the most unsettling part isn't what you see, it's what you cannot explain. If you had been there that night, would you have stayed or packed up before sunrise? This footage comes from Swamp Valley, a UK-based YouTube channel. His videos blend bushcraft solo camping and real-time exploration in remote or historically unsettling locations, capturing events as they happen with very little editing. The recording takes place on October 31st, 2018, in Woodland near Sungable Detention Center in the United Kingdom. The explorer begins setting up a simple campsite, gathering firewood, and preparing a small cooking spot using basic bushcraft methods. The forest initially feels calm with natural ambient sounds drifting through the trees and nothing appearing unusual.
Salami on the stick and I'm ready to cook. And
What unsettles him most is how close a strange noise sounds. It doesn't seem distant. The same sound occurs again shortly afterward. A single unexplained noise might be ignored, but two at similar intervals are harder to dismiss. He begins reconsidering whether spending the night there is a good decision.
I've packed up my bags. I'm getting the heck out of here. I'm not messing about with this stuff. I'm just going to get out of here. It's going to be a bugger because I got to climb through them woods again. Obviously not very welcome here, and I'm okay with that. I think it's time to go. I'm not spending the night in here. Fucking compass isn't working. I'm just gonna have to follow like instincts. There are planes flying. I'm gonna try and use them to navigate. This is messed up, man. This is actually messed up. Honestly, I'm just gonna keep walking. Hope I get lucky. That fucking noise again. I don't even know where the hell I'm going.
Once darkness fully settles in, the situation grows more difficult. Water levels are low, the ground is unstable, and his camera battery is running out. Moving through dense woodland in near darkness adds both physical and mental pressure. Relying on his compass and instincts, he decides to leave instead of staying exposed. No visible person or confirmed source of the noise is ever found. When you're alone in the dark, even small things can feel much bigger. If you had heard those sounds, would you have stayed or left like he did? That's it for tonight. Which moment creep? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story, share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.